All right, this comes from Foss Dootball. Do you think by going competitive rebuild, it puts a nail in the coffin of both Kwesi and Kevin? If they are great, then they are fine. But if they regress, then does ownership point the finger at Kwesi and O'Connell and say, we gave you a team of fan favorite players and you did worse than Zimmer? If they regress and decide to tear it down next year, maybe not to the extent of the Bears, but bad contracts need to be gotten rid of and change needs to occur, does ownership look at Kwesi and O'Connell and say, you couldn't even win with a silver platter, why would we trust you with a rebuild? No, I don't know that it's like that. I think the way it is with ownership and how they view Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah and Kevin O'Connell is they're going to give them this pretty much a similar team from what Mike Zimmer and Rick Spielman had and say, can you guys do it better? And if you can't, and it's the same exact sort of, results, then what you're going to get is, okay, I guess it wasn't all Zimmer's fault, but you guys are the right guys for the rebuild. And unless it's a total disaster and they go 4-13, then I think there would be instant pressure from ownership on Kevin O'Connell, because that's the exact thing that they were trying so hard to avoid by keeping Kirk Cousins. But that seems like pretty unlikely as long as Cousins plays. And if that's the case and they win, let's say they win 8 and they miss the playoffs, they'll probably look at it and say, all right, now we're drafting a quarterback. And now it begins officially the O'Connell and Adolfo-Mensah era, that once they draft this quarterback, the team will be built more in their vision than it would have been, before, where they're mostly inheriting a lot of the Spielman and Zimmer players and trying to get better results. And I also just think that look how long they gave Mike Zimmer. They could have fired Mike Zimmer after 2018 and it would not have been unusual. Usually, if you are way short of expectations, you're out. But they gave Zimmer 3 more seasons after that. So I would not expect, even though the contracts are shorter for Adolfo-Mensah and presumably Kevin O'Connell tied into him than it usually is for a GM, I don't think we're having that conversation at least for several more years, almost no matter the outcome, unless it is completely the building is burning down to the ground.